Welcome to What Simon Says. Today we're going to take a look at Blaster Master for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Blaster Master was released for the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1988 in North America by Sunsoft. Although it had been released in Japan 6 months prior under the title Super Planetary War Records Meta Fight. Now, while the graphics and the soundtrack stayed the same with these two releases, the largest difference was the story. Now, in Meta Fight, you were a lone soldier on a planet far away fighting against an evil emperor, but the North American version was a little different. One morning, Jason spends some time with his pet frog Fred until Fred decides to make a run for it, and just so happens to find that a radioactive chest is waiting for him just outside. Upon touching the chest, Fred grows to an enormous size, sending himself and the chest into the earth. Jason doesn't think twice before he is following them down the hole. Once he has reached the bottom, Fred is nowhere to be found, but a battle-ready tank and protective suit are ready for action. Jason heads out to find Fred and to destroy the rest of the underworld creatures and to destroy their leader, the Plutonium boss. Now, the controls for this game are excellent, and it makes it that much more enjoyable to play. While playing the game, you'll experience two different types of gameplay. Most of the time, you will play as Jason inside your tank Sophia as a side-scroller. Your tank has the basic abilities to shoot and jump from the beginning, and eventually learn new weapons and new abilities such as hover and wall climb. The second view is a top-down perspective similar to the original Legend of Zelda. Unique to the games at this time, though, is that Jason is right-handed, which means that you will need to learn how to aim. In this view, you will have your gun, which can be upgraded with power-ups as long as you don't get hit, and your more powerful weapon, bomb throwing. It's good to note that all boss fights in this game will be in this top-down perspective, so you will need to master it. Now, there are a few times that you will need to travel outside your tank, but only do this if you have to. Your gun is weak and short-ranged, you don't have bombs, and enemies will kill you fast. Let's take a quick look at a run-through of the bosses. Mother Brain, Crabulous, Photophage, Fred, Hard Shell, Frozen Crabulous, Enhanced Fred, Plutonium Boss, and the Underworld Lord. Now let's jump back to Crabulous real quick. I'm going to show you a cheat that works on bosses 2, 4, 6, and 7. Now, I'm not recommending that you use this cheat on all those bosses. You're going to miss out on some excellent boss fights if you do. But if you're running low on lives and you're desperate, this might come in handy. Now, the trick with this cheat is timing. As soon as you hit the boss in his weak spot with a bomb, pause the game. If done right, he will continue to take damage until you unpause the game and collect your reward. Now, Blaster Master was a great game. It actually made a couple sequels to go along with it. Blaster Master Boy for the Game Boy was released in 1991. Now, it was actually Bomber King 2, but when it came over from Japan, they saw that it was a little bit like Blaster Master. The characters looked a little bit the same, so Sunsoft bought it, remastered it a little bit, and brought it out. It is definitely the black sheep of the franchise. It is a different type of a Blaster Master game, but, you know, it's worth taking a look at. The official sequel to Blaster Master was Blaster Master 2 for the Sega Genesis, released in 1993. Now, this game was good. It had some good gameplay. It didn't last as long and didn't have those cool, memorable moments with the music and the graphics, and the boss fights were tweaked a little bit. It really didn't carry on what Blaster Master had originally done on the NES. Blaster Master Enemy Below was released in 2000 for the Game Boy Color. It goes back to the original graphics and has even some of the same music from the NES version. If you liked the NES version of Blaster Master, you definitely need to check out the one for Game Boy Color. Blaster Master Blasting Again was released in 2001 for the PlayStation. It's the first and only game to go to a 3D perspective. It definitely does a good job with the 3D aspect of the game. The boss fights are cool, and the overall gameplay is pretty smooth. If you see this one lying around, go ahead and pick it up. It's worth a play. Now it's time for Simon Says 3 tips for playing Blaster Master on the NES. Number 1. Always have your hover bar full. You never know when you're going to need to hover just a little bit to make it, and sometimes it's hard to find some hover when you need it. Number 2. Play on a stable system. As much as I love my front loader, the top loader is definitely the way to go. You have to remember, there's no passwords and no way to save your progress in this game if you decide to stop for the day, so you have to leave your system on. And nothing's worse than getting halfway through this game and having a little shake in the room mess up your progress. Son of a bitch! And finally, number 3, always get homing missiles. Whenever you see them, get them. You use them so much in this game, and they will keep you alive. But even if you have a full inventory, you can blast through them in a matter of minutes. So if you see them, if you know where they are, stock up. Now, the thing that immortalizes Blaster Master the most for me is definitely the soundtrack. Every track for every environment sets the mood perfectly. Let's take a look at a few of my favorite tracks from the game. Whether it was poor advertising at the time or just an overblown market, Blaster Master is considered one of the most underrated games on the NES. Sunsoft released this when Nintendo was at its prime, and they made sure to take advantage of everything the NES had to offer. With its great graphics, amazing soundtrack, unique bosses, and a storyline that would make any gamer tilt their head, Blaster Master should be on any retro gamer's wish list. Although this game haunted my childhood as a game I loved to play but could never beat, the level of quality it presented always drew me back. And I finally completed it after owning the game for 20 years. I finally beat the Plutonium boss and saved Fred. If you get a chance to play your way into the Blaster Master universe, don't pass it up. This has been What Simon Says.